Everyone, welcome back. We are continuing in Module 2, Topic 2. We are in Lesson 1. We are on page 257 for Activity 1. Estimating percents from pictures, habits of mind, reason abstractly and quantitatively, construct viable arguments, and critique the reasoning of others. Estimating percents from pictures. You know that 100% means one or the whole, and 50% means half. You can estimate a lot of percents when using a visual model. And it tells us a laptop computer uses a battery icon to show battery life, and you guys are all quite used to that. When you glance at the icon, you can get a good estimate how much battery life remains before you need to recharge. Estimate how much battery power remains by writing the percent under each battery icon. Please pause. Do this yourself. Ask yourself, are your estimates the same as your partner's? So in class, we'll be doing this together and comparing it with the person beside us. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and do that right now. And then turn the video back on, please. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you have already completed this. And I think some of these kind of jump out right at us and are pretty easy to do. So if we look at this one, there's kind of 3 bars, and it looks like there's room for 4 bars. So 3 out of 4 bars would be 3/4, and you guys can probably pretty easily say that's 75%. Okay, and then B, it looks like we have 2 bars and maybe 2 are missing, so that one would be 50%. Sorry about this. This page right here is pretty, the ink is kind of bleeding through from the other side. So I'm sure it's probably that way in your book as well. Okay, and then when we look at letter C, it looks like there's 1 of the 4. So this one was like 2 out of the 4. This one's like 1 out of the 4, so we know that's probably a 25% battery. F is pretty easy. You've got a problem here because your battery is dead. That's 0%. So then what about D and E? So D is just a small little portion of what's colored in here. So I could probably fit, I'm guessing probably 10 of those in here. So that looks like it's at about 10%. And using that kind of thought and theory here, we would have 25%, 50%, and then if that's 10% and that's 10%, we would be looking at 60% for this battery. Okay, hope you did well on that. We're going to turn the page. Estimate the shaded part of each circle shown and write it as a percent. So I want you to pause and do this again, just like you just did the other side, and then turn the video back on. Okay, so as I'm looking at this, I see some that are going to kind of like pop right out at me right away, and that's letter B. The part that's shaded, I can tell that there's, if I cut it into fourths, 3 out of the 4 are shaded, so that one's 75%. Okay, so then what other one is a bit easy? Some of them are kind of difficult here. If I drop down here to I, and I think about this, maybe like, so this is a whole line here, and this is a whole line here. I'm going to pretend that went through nice and straight there. Then there's 4 parts that are of equal size, and there's 1 shaded there, so 1 out of 4 would be 25%. Okay, and then if we look at letter A, if I go back and divide this kind of into fourths, we know this is 25. And this part here isn't quite 25. This might be like 15, and this part 10. So 25% and 15% would make this one about 40%. This one, we could break it into thirds. So if we did thirds, that would be 33%. And then what about letter D? D looks just like this one, but instead of, and this part is what's shaded up here, like our smaller piece in C is shaded. Here our smaller piece is not shaded because it could break into thirds. So if this is 33, it would be 33.3 repeating. We're just going to say 33 for this purpose. That would be about 66%. I would also accept 67% if you went with like 33.3 repeating. Okay, letter E is a little bit harder, so let's actually, we're going to come back to E. I'm going to save that one. If I hop on over here to F, this one's kind of interesting. I'm guessing I could draw 5 equal parts out of that. So that would be 1/5, which is the same as 20%. If I thought about it in terms of 100, 5 times 20 gets me to the 100, so 1 times 20. So I have 20%. Letter G is interesting. If I took these two white triangles and put them together, what do you think would happen? And maybe this is what you kind of thought about on your own. If I took that and I kind of spun it around, I think that would fill up like this part, and this one would fill here, which means this part is half of it, 50%. Okay, so let's go back here to letter E. So if I broke letter E, I'm just going to extend this straight across, and then I'm going to go this way so it's in fourths. But now this part has two parts kind of in this 1/4. So if I split each of these sections, I really have eighths going on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 1 out of 8. On a calculator, if you divide 1 divided by 8, you get about 12%, about 12.5%. Let me actually just show you that and do that for you. That is one way that we are going to work on these percents in this unit, is just dividing our numerator divided by our denominator. So 1 divided by 8 gives us 0.125, but remember when we're talking about percent, we're going to multiply it by 100, so 12.5%. So then if I look at this one's kind of crazy looking. I have this little small piece here and this bigger one over here. If I were to divide this here and then continue this line here, I now have, because notice this is a square instead of a circle, but let's start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pieces in total and 3 are shaded. Well, if 1/8 is 12.5% or 12 5/10%, then 3/8 would be 3 of those. So if we did the 12.5 times 3, 15, 6 plus 1 is 7. One number after the decimal here, none here. So we would have about 37.5%. Okay, and in class we'll talk about some of the different strategies. Write down some of the things that you've done. Maybe they were some of the things that I did here. Just jot down a few notes about what you've done. Hopefully you've actually done that already. We'll see you on the next video.